What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today I've got another really fun Storybook Brawl video for you guys. This is still only actually my fourth game of Storybook Brawl, but it is a really exciting one, so I wanted to show it off for you. And over the course of this game, 3 different players wind up trying to make TRIPLY work, and I actually wind up getting triple the rewards because of the treasures that I used. Just a little note, you might hear a little bit of Woodrow running around on his wheel throughout this video. He's going to stop while I'm talking about him right now, of course. But yeah, if you hear a noise in the background, that's what it is. Anyways, looking at these heroes, the free choices here are Pup and Mordred, and I do think that Pup is pretty good in the early game, where Mordred really only does anything in the late game once you have, or at least after you've already purchased 8 minions, and I think Pup just has the ability to work a little bit sooner. So I do wind up picking Pup as my hero here. Looking at the first shop, I think I am just going to take the biggest stats here, take the baby dragon, and then I think I will also lock the shop because with the spell there, I'll be able to, with the spell plus 3 gold for the turn, I'll be able to buy 2 2-cost minions, and that's probably worth the 2 health worth of damage that you take. Just try to get a little bit of an early lead. So nothing too fancy going on in this early game. Glad we took a baby dragon, as we're going to trade with my opponent's 2-3. And like I said, now I can take the forbidden fruit, and it's pretty tempting to take the little frog guy here. I think he's a frog. Yeah, he's an animal. Oh, that's right. Okay, it's a frog prince. So yeah, it's a frog that turns into something else. Though it's not a prince. It's just a frog that has been polymorphed. It's an awkward double to get. I'm going to lock the shop just because blind mice seems good as well. But it's an awkward double to get because it's not really going to be a double. Once you trigger the sleigh, they're going to turn into different things. And then, of course, I won't have a double, but I will have an early 3-drop if this sleigh works out. And it actually works out pretty fantastically because the order of the attacks there, I wind up getting a good witch, and then we actually find 2 more supports in the shop. And because Pup gives +2/+1 to anything that is supported, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a no-brainer to just pick up the, I think it's called Evil Witch, and then Fanny, the dwarf support. So now everything that is getting supported is getting an additional +2/+1. The dwarf support isn't actually doing anything, so I think I might move it to the front row. Yeah, I'll move Fanny to the front there. But yeah, you want to try to get as many support guys as you can with Pup. And I think we're able to make decently good work out of it, considering my order a little bit for a second there, but I think we wind up settling on the right one as I then pick Geppetto, and we actually get pretty lucky with that sleigh, and our frog turns into something else. So we got an additional sleigh there, and a decent unit, the Darkwood Creeper. Doubly seems pretty good. I know I gave some spoilers in the intro here, but Doubly seems pretty good because it's also going to get double Pup bonuses. So now it's getting +4/+2 from each support, and then each of these supports are giving +6 attack. So that's going to make it a 21/5, which is just a huge monster at the start of the game here. And then, of course, whenever Doubly survives damage, it's going to get +2 attack compared to the +1 attack that everything else is giving. Now, I do also have that dwarf support, but the dwarf support will only work on Doubly, but I do think I am going to wind up realizing that before the next battle, and realizing that giving Doubly +4/+4 is just going to be so much better in the early game, because it really doesn't matter that he had 23 attack. He died to the first hit there after he was reduced down to 2 health. So it actually would have been possible to win this battle if my opponent had attacked my good witches first, or my evil witches first. because then they would have gotten +1 attack and they would have been able to take out some of my opponent's stuff going on over there. I see another dwarf, which is, I think, going to work pretty well with the dwarf support. I really like this guy. Last Breath leaves behind a guy when he dies. It means that it's really good with supports, as anything with Last Breath is, because then you are getting double the bonus from your support as it is pumping twice, the first creature and then the Last Breath creature that is replaced. So yeah, going to make sure that we line up 2 supports on that. And then we're also getting now 2 bigger supports on the doubly. And I think about rearranging the board there to put the Tweedledum first. But like I said, getting additional supports on the Tweedle winds up being really good because you're doubling all those supports. So anything Last Breath is pretty good with Pup. I think doubly is pretty good with Pup. Just buy a spell there. It's free. I should have bought the Adventurer. I moused over it at the last second. I should have tried to figure out a way to buy it because we'll definitely be able to trigger its Slay with Pup and all of these Evil Witches. Evil Witch is like really, really good with that Adventurer, but I just wasn't able to lock the shop or purchase that in time. But I definitely could have sold 3 of my units and purchase that. So that was a little bit unfortunate because that would have really allowed us to snowball. But Princess Wight seems like it could also be something that allows us to snowball a little bit here, especially because I don't love these Treants on the current board that I have. And I'm thinking that Princess Wight, why am I calling her Princess Wight? It's a Snow White reference. Princess Wight, and you actually see 3 different players try to make a TRIPLY at the end of this game. The final 3 players. I don't know how much in these videos I should be spoiling it versus just doing live commentary, but I think it's an interesting juxtaposition to like streams or other videos where I'm actually giving live commentary kind of as I'm thinking of it. In these types of videos, I can talk about things and honestly offer a little bit more insight in some scenarios, but also offer some future insight because I see the future. I am clairvoyant here. But I should be streaming some Storybook Brawl soon. Might even be streaming it now whenever you are watching this video. So go check me out at twitch.tv/NoLucksGiven. And yeah, there you can watch me play some Storybook Brawl because I'm having a lot of fun playing this game. So the Princess Wight, I should just call her Snow White. That'll be easier for me, but we see Brogo's got one of those, and I've got one of those as well, and unfortunately only 1 or 2 of our dwarves die, but that is good for the Last Breath as well. See 2 interesting things here. We see a Ho-Ho, which gives us a random dwarf, and then a doubly. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the doubly, and then buy the Ho-Oh, which will give us... it'll give our dwarves rather +2/+2, which means it's giving doubly +4/+4. So all of that is pretty great. I'm definitely going to want to buy this guy, and then I will do a little bit of a rolling action here. I can give the Princess Wight +7/+7 if I sell something this Brawl, which I think I am going to do if I remember correctly. I know I just said I'm clairvoyant, but I also kind of forget these things. But if I were to do it, and this is where the commentary gets a little bit interesting in these, but if I were to do that, which, yeah, I did think I was going to do so, what this does is it basically means that, oh, I don't. Oh, okay, never mind. If I were to do it, as you saw that I was like repositioning there, the main reason to do it, I would say, would be so that Princess Wight survives longer than my dwarves and is actually able to get some bonuses. But I do decide to not do that here, and I think it's fine. I think it's just as good. Looks like this is somebody that we should be able to beat here regardless, so it shouldn't really matter, but there you go, Princess Wight. I keep wanting to calling her Princess Wight, but Princess Wight does actually die because she does not have that +7/+7, so a little bit annoying. We are going to get some nice gold here from our other dwarf, our gold making dwarf, so we've got 11 gold for the round. But yeah, definitely lacking a little bit. And if we had the adventurer in this board, that would have been really great. And honestly, might have pushed me away from dwarves. That might have been enough to do it because I would have just been triggering that adventurer almost every combat. So it would have been good. Here I'm going to pick up a Sporko. I do need to sell some units so that I have the room on my bench. And then I can pick up a second Sporko, and from there I can actually sub out my 2 Evil Witches and replace them with Sporko, which is just a straight up upgrade. So here there's kind of like a weird choice I have to make. I can sell both of my Evil Witches and buy 1 Sporko, but then they will combine. So then I will actually only have 1 Sporko. So it's a little bit awkward here. If I did that, then I could move the Princess Wight to the back lane and then maybe field another doubly or something like that. There I am just checking to see which doubly is bigger based off like when I bought it or anything like that. I go ahead, buy a spell because I'm not using anything else with the gold at this point. Yeah, both halves of my first dwarf die there, but I am going to get a little bit of a bonus before Snow White goes down. It's probably just easier if I call her Snow White. It will be easier for me to remember. So a little bit of damage to my opponent there. Not too much, really, but we do see our first 2 eliminations in that game. Interesting, I didn't know that the spell would pop up over on the other side of the shop, but that is pretty cool. I've got Reduplicator, but Reduplicator is a hard thing to make work because you kind of have to play down a minion to make use of the Reduplicator. And playing down a minion, like, I would rather just play an additional Tweedledee, right? So it's not, I don't think, like, super powerful in a lot of cases. I go ahead and buy the Blind Mice there when you can buy it for free because that was given to me from the spell that I purchased. So the spell essentially floated 1 additional gold into this round, which doesn't wind up doing anything, but that's what happened. And I definitely want to get that first Sporko on the Tweedledee. I think about moving around some of my other units. I'm thinking, okay, do I want the princess to be in the back lane here? Well, I definitely really want that doubly to be getting as many bonuses as it can. I also really want my gold generating dwarf to be getting as many bonuses as it can. So after some thought, I switch back to my original position and wind up not changing anything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And now we see Geppetto also having a Snow White and having a doubly, so definitely a pretty similar board to us. We are going to beat Geppetto though and take them down here. So now I will be able to make my doubly into a triply, and I've got a treasure map as an option there, so probably have to take that. That is pretty sweet. And then I will grab an angry. So I do need to find 3 more dwarves to turn on Princess Wight, or what's it called? Is it called Princess Wight? Yeah, it must be called Princess Wight. So I do that, and then I am just going to grab a chicken with my remaining gold, just so that way I'm floating some gold into the next round. I am thinking that angry is pretty good if I can get the bonus, because then it's giving triply +6/+6, and that should be enough to carry me in a lot of these battles here. There's a lot of different ways to field this board right now. I go with this one. This gives me like almost the most toughness on angry, but also allows angry to attack first, which I think is pretty important just in terms of pumping up the rest of your team. Most people attack first with their biggest unit, so it gives me a chance to hit one of my opponent's smaller units and still survive. It's not quite the case here, but this triply is still like super big, so I don't think I'm really going to be in too much trouble. But actually, this gets pretty close. So we wind up tying with my opponent here, but I definitely could have lost that one if things flipped a different way. The Triply is not enough to just straight up carry me. 68 attack is a lot, but the 29 toughness isn't actually that much. I see a second angry, so I'm going to go ahead and sell my Sporko. I'll hang on to the chicken just because it's like passive gold that I can float into other turns. But an angry is great, and I really want to get another angry, which I do, and this is actually going to let me get a level 7 treasure. Fairy Queen's Wand is on the board, double the bonus, or get 100 bonus fairy dust if you win. I really think about taking the Excalibur, but I go for the Fairy Queen's Wand. And this is actually my 7th dwarf, so I'm able to grab another treasure here, and I believe I just go with the Fancy Pants as a little bit of an extra bonus to hang on to. But yeah, I mean, +5/+5 to all of my units. That's +15/+15 to Triply, and a +10, or I'm sorry, a +5/+5 on Angry is still going to give it some additional surviving power, which could then translate to an additional +24/+24 on Triply, as it gives +4/+4 times 3 to the unit. So all of that is looking pretty good. Yeah, Triply goes up to 56 and then 68. So quite the unit. Angry is doing a bunch of work, knocking down my opponents, basically their entire front line. And yeah, my opponent's going to have a tough time getting out of this one. We also had 3 dwarves die, which is pretty good for being so ahead. And obviously we're playing against one of our dead competitors, so not too much of a big deal here yet. Then we see another angry, and we do see another adventurer here, but we're almost level 6. We're going to be level 6 at this point regardless. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to slot angry into this comp, but it's tough. It's tough because I do like the +2/+2 from the 9/9 that we currently have on the board, normally a 4/4, but just any additional surviving power on Angry is going to mean that he is so much more likely to buff everything else that you've got working on. I do see a few other dwarves on this board, so they're potentially worth considering here if I want to try anything like that. I think I am just going to roll and look for some other dwarves, and then we see an angry. So I can sell the chicken and buy this angry immediately. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I will swap it in for the Lord there. I know it's not called Lordy, but the 4/4 that gives +2/+2, now a 9/9 because of my fairy wand. So against Brago here, they are going to deal some damage to us because their Snow White is much bigger than ours. So we are going to lose this combat. Brago is focusing a lot more on their Snow White than we are, but we are picking up all of the Angries, which is still going to be really, really fantastic for us. So there's an interesting decision that I'm making, which I didn't get a chance to talk about, but I'm not putting any of my supports on Doubly, because if Doubly receives any angry bonuses, then that will be more than what he could receive from the supports. And if you get the angries pumping each other, then that winds up being just really, really good. I should also grab the Green Knight here, and I do wind up grabbing it because, like I said, at this point in the game, all I really care about is my angries surviving their hits. They are going to get an additional +2/+1 because it is a support. But yeah, I think about it and I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, I think Angry is really good at this stage in the game. So I'm going to start selling off some supports and selling off this Bossy. That's the name of it. And I will pick up this Green Knight. And then I'm not sure, but I think I will lock the shop because there are 2 doublies in the shop. So if I can get those, I can either make my existing Triply better. Sorry about that. My camera disconnected. And by the looks of it, it might not be coming back. Okay. So I will try to work on that, but I will also try to do some coverage here. It just means that this got unplugged. They should probably figure out a better solution for this all. But now I can grab an upgraded Green Knight. So that is pretty fantastic, and the camera is back, so that is pretty fantastic. But I have the chance to grab an Evil Eye here and double my support bonuses, which means that the Green Knight is just going to be really making sure that these Angries will not die and just providing a bunch of health on the board. Then I'm going to also just grab both of these doublies here and make some work with them. So I think about I could potentially put like Tweedledee in. I could move Triply to the back lane. But I do think getting some additional stats on this doubly is good. The one thing that I consider here is trying to allow for more of my units to die so that Princess Wight can get a bigger bonus right now. Now she's getting 2 for each of my dead dwarves, but I'm also trying to build a strategy where my dwarves no longer die. So those two things are a little bit at odds here. Probably doesn't matter too much as I play against one of the last players in the lobby on this round, but when they deal 1 damage to everything, that is just huge for me with that random spell that just rolled, because 1 damage to everything meant that all of my units get +8/+8, doubly getting plus 16/16, and triply getting +24/24. So that was a really bad spell for my opponent to roll here. Just taking a look at the last 2 players remaining in the shop, and when I see another Green Knight, I'm like, all right, well, I think I do have to try to make that work, because that's just going to give me so much more stats for my Angries, which will in turn give so much more stats for my Triply. So I think that that is probably going to be in the final comp here. What I'm trying to play is some Green Knights, and at this point, really just like hoping that maybe I will find another Angry, as unlikely as that might be. And part of the reason for that is both myself, Brago, and Geppetto are all playing dwarves at this point. So this is the final 3 in the lobby, and we've all got our dwarf thing going on. I am going to move my upgraded Angry to the 2nd slot, so that way it can get bonuses from both of the Green Knights and have 89 defense, which currently is bigger than anything on my opponent's board. It will potentially die to the Princess Wight at the end of this, but not before getting a bunch of pumps and giving a bunch of pumps to my team. So you can see how this kind of pops off here. It could be bad if I lose my Triply early, but my Triply became pretty big by the end of that fight. And I did have 2 dwarves die, so that is something there. That's a little bit of a consolation prize. I do think that there's like a chance that Good Boy could be really good with what we are currently working with. But it's tough. It's tough to figure out exactly how all of that should go. Because we only have 7 slots. So it's really hard to make room on this board. I'd potentially even want another Triply too, if I could score it. And then I realize I'm pretty sure this is going to be the combat. It's hard to pass up the, I don't play the okay. So right now I am looking for a very specific spell, because I realize that spell that my opponent played that deals 1 damage to all minions, well, of course, I have to take the Lordy here, so we are going to grab the Lordy, and like, I think I just should just sub it in for the Princess Wight. I'm not sure if I should be just ignoring my hero power at this point in the game, or if I should be ignoring my hero power and just trying to play more dwarves, if I should be focusing on growing Princess Wight. This is where I'm not sure exactly what is the optimal strategy here, but I'm doing pretty okay with these Angries growing my squad. This opponent winds up being a little bit stronger than me, especially though with this Tree of Life, because they are just healing their Triply every time something else dies. So while I am able to take out 4 of their units, 3 of their upgraded units survive and hit me down to 10. So this could definitely get scary. I'm realizing now that I need my Triply to be bigger at the start of combat because I really need to have it grow, and I am going to grab that free spell thing, and there I see falling stars. So I refresh the shop to only see spells, and then I can grab a falling stars, and that's basically going to ensure that I win this combat, because that's going to deal 1 to all of my Angries and give my entire team, like I said, well, not my Green Knights, but it's going to give everything else some huge bonuses. And now I've got to figure out a way to get this other Lordy on the battlefield for us here. I think I will swap it out for the Green Knight. There's no way to get that Angry on this turn, but that's going to mean that next turn, if I buy the Angry, I'll be able to play 2 Angries, 2 Lordies, a Triply, and keep my 2 Green Knights. So I am going to go and throw in the other doubly, and because that's just going to grow my team tremendously. And then we're going to deal 1 to everything, so my opponent's units are going to get +4/+4, and that actually winds up being great for me there too. And then all of my units are just going to grow hugely and continue to grow even more. So my opponent is definitely doing good in that they've got that big guy chonking up everything, taken all of the damage, and my Triply is not, unfortunately, eating anything. So this battle's actually going to be a trade, and now my opponent's Princess Wight is huge, but we are going to be able to level up our second Angry, and from there we can grab a Mimic. And the other treasures that we have are pretty good. Double your support bonuses, and then everything is getting +5/+5, and double the fairy dust. So now we're actually going to be able to double the Mimic. So now we're getting doubled on our support bonuses. So the Green Knight, we definitely want to be playing that. We definitely want to be making sure Doubly is getting a bunch of bonuses. Look at that. 300 attack at the start of combat. That is insane. And I should probably still be rolling for the Starfall or Glacial Fall, whatever that card is called. I should still be... there it is. I should have locked the shop at that point, I think, too. Just because that is so powerful at this point. But the thing that I'm looking for here is if I can find another Doubly, put another Triply out, this board will be really, really insane. But I think we are still in a pretty good spot here now that I have decided I'm going to start pumping the Doubly. I've got 400 attack to my opponent's 200, hit points is what I mean to say. It just gobbles that Princess Wight right up. It's going to gobble up a lot of my opponent's other units, but unfortunately they are going to gobble up a lot of my units as well as my back lane guys start attacking. So we're not going to wind up getting too much damage into my opponent, unfortunately, by the end of this. If we just had one more character survive, then we would have won that fight. But at this point, I think I realize what my mistake was. If I just find a Starfall, this will be so much better for us. Echowood isn't bad because it's going to get all these other Dwarven bonuses, but so would any Dwarf at this point. So it's not really that great. I mean, it will get more bonuses than any dwarf because it gets all of the bonuses that all of your dwarfs get. So it is definitely worth considering, but something has to be really good for me to want to swap out my Green Knight at this point, because it is, and there is the Drink Me Potion. So I take a Drink Me Potion. I unfortunately do not get lucky with that here, but something would have to be pretty good for me to swap out a Green Knight, because while those are also working with my hero power, they are also giving double support bonuses. So I try to buy that, not realizing that the Devour was going to count as a spell, so that doesn't work at all. And I lock and actually get a Triply just by itself in my final shop. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that in case we have a similar kind of battle and it goes not in my favor here. But the way that things are started here, my Triply is really, really big already. Their Triply is going to keep gaining its health back, though, which is super annoying. We're probably going to trade out back lane guys again into each other's Triplys, and my Triply actually starts to sink pretty bad because of the fact that I lost the supports behind it. And once I lost the supports, the health really shrunk. I thought we were going to have a tie there, but we were able to barely edge it out. And for that win, there were 3 players playing Triply, which I thought was pretty funny. And I also got Triply the rewards because I've got a Mimic chest with a Fairy Wand. So yeah, really fun game. Definitely shows off the power of the dwarves here, and I thought it was just a fun one, especially because my opponents were all doing the same thing, and I was the dwarf king, the lordy, if you will. So that was a pretty fun one. Again, if you want to see more Storybook Brawl content in the future, make sure to hit that subscribe button to see other future videos on YouTube, and follow me along on twitch.tv/NoLucksGiven, where you can find me watch Storybook Brawl, Soulforge Fusion, Hearthstone Battlegrounds, and other games. That's going to be it for me today, though, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace!